Hello everyone. Today I'm going to be talking about the effects on our children when the parents are overly strict. Some of my main points are being in trouble, the effects on your children, the discipline, the problems with our discipline, solutions to be better, do positive discipline instead, how it affects your children and how it changes them if you do positive discipline, and the actions you can take to be better and do better about positive discipline. Now, being in trouble. We've all been in trouble, if it was just from taking a piece of candy when you weren't supposed to sneaking out. Like, it could be something really bad, but just being in trouble in general. And if you could think back on a time that you got in trouble, what was your reaction? How did it affect you? Were you sad? Were you depressed? How did it make you feel? And how do you think your parents could have done better with their reaction, or how they may have disciplined you? Because that could affect you in a big way, and a lot of parents don't realize that. And in this case, if your child did the same thing, how do you think you would react? Would you react the same as your parents did? Or if they reacted wrongly, do you think you would react better? Because we all have been in trouble at some point. Now, the discipline on our children. Discipline is good, but I will say it again. Some parents take it too far. And you can discipline your child every day, but some children will take it differently. Because you need to think about how you discipline your children and think about it in their place. Like, put yourself in their shoes, seeing how you react to them or how you discipline them. Would you want to take that? Would you want to be in their shoes? And you need to think about how you can do better to help your kids instead of hurting them. Like, some kids just need attention. Some kids are acting out because they need that attention. So you have to think, ask questions, ask your kid, like, why are you acting like this? What's going on? Do you need help with something? Questions are going to be your best friend for when your kids are acting wrongly. The problem with discipline, not a lot of parents don't realize how they come across to their children. A lot of parents think, oh, if I yell, like, they'll listen, but that's not 100% true. Majority of the time, it hurts your child more than helps them, and we need to be better about that. We have to realize what we're saying. You have to realize what you do and how you react. And those three things are going to do a lot of effect on your kids when it comes to how they may react back. Because if you react wrongly, or if you say something super rude, your child may be hurt by that, and they're going to remember that forever. And one thing we do need to say is parents need to understand why their child may be acting that certain way. And a lot of parents don't ask questions. They may just yell out questions, and then after a while, the problem is just let go. But instead of wrongly yelling at your child, ask them, what's going on? Why'd you act like this? Are you okay? Let's talk about it. Just ask questions, because your child will be hurt sooner or later if you don't, because you want that connection with your child. So you need to understand them as much as they understand you. And the effects on your children. This is a big thing, and a lot of parents push this aside when their child does wrong and they have to discipline them. A lot of it is depression and anxiety. Depression and anxiety comes from being yelled at, being wrongly done. You get depressed because of people constantly yelling at you as much as your child would, even if they're pretty young. And you get anxiety because you don't know how other people are going to react to you if you talk to them, because you're going to be used to being yelled at all the time. Another thing is the impact of self-esteem. A lot of parents criticize their kids nonstop, and this hurts their self image. This hurts how they may see the world, how they may look at themselves, and they think they're not perfect, but they are perfect. They're beautiful. And also, parents with high expectations, like especially in school. I know a lot of students that have parents that want them to have straight A's, and that puts a lot of pressure on a student, and they feel like they're not good enough if they don't get those straight A's. So just try to encourage them to get good grades. That's all they need, because regardless, they still can go to college. Another thing, communication problems. A lot of children that have parents that tend to yell, that tend to not listen, they don't communicate well with their parents. And those are the kids that tend to be scared and afraid to even tell their parents anything. So they just hide all their problems. They hide all their mistakes, and that builds up and it comes out in the worst way most of the time. Including the communication problems with their parents, this also comes about in long-term relationship issues. And this meaning, like, you're not going to want to go to your parents. You're going to want to be away from them. You're going to want to not be near them as much, or you won't go to them. Your parents are supposed to be your best friend. And that relationship starts from birth, regardless if that baby can talk or not. But you need to realize how you come across to your child, because you want them in your life and you love them. You brought them into this world, so you help them. One thing I see a lot is a lot of kids have a hard time making decisions by themselves. And this comes from the root of their parents, because they're always making decisions for them. They're not letting themselves be independent. And our children need to be independent to learn how this world works. And that becomes hard if you're the one constantly telling your child how to do things, what they should decide on. Let your child make their decisions regardless of what age they are. You're just there behind them to help them if you suggest something else. One last thing is social interactions. I see this a lot. And a lot of parents tend to talk for their kid instead of letting them talk for themselves, because this leads to social skills that are really bad, and they don't know how to talk to other people. And I understand being scared to talk to strangers because you don't know how their vibes are, you don't know how they come across. But this brings it to the point where you're not going to want to talk to anyone. You're going to have terrible social skills. So let your child have that good social interaction. Put them in the conversation instead of letting it affect them later on in life. Now, solutions to our discipline. Rather than yelling, I know this is hard for a lot of parents, but rather than yelling, take a step back, breathe before you decide on anything, and see how you come across better. See how your child reacts rather than just straight up yelling at them. Because this is where you need to watch how your child reacts. If it's positive or negative discipline, see how your child reacts. Because with the positive discipline, your child will most likely react better, and you're going to have that better connection with your kid rather than the negative discipline. Most kids tend to be bad kids. Now, kids that disobey often are usually kids that are needing something, that need attention, that need that extra help with something, but they're not getting it, so they tend to disobey all the time. Like, for an example, our baby, she's 1.5 years, and she will go and grab her snacks. She'll go to this little cart that we have her snacks on, and she'll just start throwing the containers. And we didn't understand at first why, and we just get mad at her, like, why are you throwing these? Why? Obviously, she can't talk back to us. But we started realizing it's because she wanted something to eat, and that was her way of telling us. So now, instead, she does a lot better with bringing us the container so we can open it. And you have to do positive discipline to be able to make them understand, if you want something, you have to bring it to me, instead of coming off yelling at them, because then they'll react, they'll start crying, they don't know what to do, they'll freeze. So see how your child reacts with certain things. And then when it comes to food, this is a big thing, and a lot of parents push this off. Disciplining yourself as the parent for food choices of your children, because your children cannot make food decisions on their own, especially when they're super young. And we tend to give them things that are super quick, easy, something you can throw in the microwave, or chips or juice boxes. And a lot of these things have dyes that hurt your children. And a lot of parents don't realize why one day your kid is perfectly fine, happy, the next day your kid's screaming most of the day, because they're putting chemicals and things in their kids that are like not helping their hormones. They affect your child's hormones very badly. So that's one thing you need to discipline yourself on. Now, changing your children. Children tend to have anxiety when not being allowed to go to places, not being allowed to explore. Children are meant to learn. They need to explore and touch things and be places to understand this world. People that don't let them have that tend to have kids that don't want to go anywhere. They're homebodies. They don't want to interact with people. And you need to let your kids explore. And when it comes to yelling at your child, think of a solution not only for yourself, but also for your child. Like, what did they do? Like I said again, ask questions. And when it comes to your child screaming and crying, what do they need? A lot of parents don't help their kids when it comes to their emotions. And little kids, toddlers, they don't know how to control their emotions. They don't know what emotions are. And that's when you need to teach them how to use their emotions in certain ways. Okay, if you're crying, you either hurt yourself, something is in pain. A lot of kids tend to cry nowadays when they don't get their way. And instead of telling your kid like it's okay if you cry when you don't get your way, your child should ask questions like, why can't I have this? Like, as my mother used to ask us a bunch of questions as much as we did to her, and she said we used to be really good at the store. When we would want something, she would tell us no, and we'd put it right back. We wouldn't ask questions, nothing, because she taught us how to control our emotions, how to understand how to use them. And you have to let your kid be independent. Make their own decisions, because if not, you're going to have a child always behind you asking if this is okay. Your child's never going to make decisions on their own, and that's not a good thing. And you will be amazed how different your child will react in ways that you help them and that you help yourself, because you won't be as stressed and your child will be in better moods. They won't be as sad and they'll want to be with you. Now, actions to be better. One thing my great-grandma always told me and my sister: actions speak louder than words. And this is a huge thing, because how you act is how your child's going to see it, and they're going to think that's okay, which is not true. As well as words too, but your actions have a big thing. You need to watch what you do. Like, if you have another child and another child sees that you're hitting them, most kids tend to think like, oh, if I hit something, it's okay. Or if I throw something, it's okay. When it's not, because they're going to go and do it because they saw you doing it. Think before you do. That's a big thing. You need to think before you react to anything, because that's the biggest issue with normal humans. We always react really fast before we think. Try to do positive feedbacks. Talk to your kid. Give them good things rather than negative things. And learn with your kid. You're learning with them as much as they're learning with you. You may know a little bit more, but you don't know how your child's going to react. So help them while they help you. And our kids, this is a big emphasis. Our kids need us to learn and understand things in this world. Because they're not born knowing all this knowledge. They're not born understanding emotions and understanding hormones, understanding why they can't have this, why they can't have that. You're their path of light to knowing this knowledge until they get into school and they have their teachers. So help them while you can before they get let off to someone else that will teach them whatever they learn. And this is my works cited page. Thank you for watching.